that it must begin.
Hello, folks. How are we doing, everybody? We're going to get started here in about 1 minute. I will see you all shortly. I hope everyone had a great holiday, and I'm looking forward to continuing our learning journey with you today. Alrighty, hello everybody. How we doing? I hope everyone had a great holiday season. I know I did. We took about a week off there just because of the holiday weekend, but I was traveling for about a week, and now I'm back and ready to get back down to business with our Python series. I hope everyone else out there had a great holiday as well. Please let me know if anybody did anything interesting during the holidays. I'd love to hear about it. At minimum, I hope everybody at least had a minute to relax. I know not everybody's jobs, lets them take off for the holidays. I've certainly worked jobs where, the only day I had off was Christmas. But at least I hope everybody had at least a little bit of relaxation in there somewhere. I'm eager to get back to my usual routine. I'm very tired. Despite quote unquote relaxing for a week, I'm still very tired. I hope somebody else out there can relate as well. But golly gee. Hey Palooza, good to see you. Happy holidays to you as well. Yeah, it was a good holiday overall. I got some good presents, gave some good presents, so that always feels good. I got one of the things I got that I'm excited about is the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn for PlayStation 5, Horizon Forbidden West. So I'm excited about that. Haven't got the chance to play it yet, but looking forward to it. But yeah, let me know what you did during the holidays, or if anybody got any cool gifts they're excited about. I got a really good book called Challenger, about the Challenger disaster, because I like reading about disasters and I like reading about space and, the Hey, Code for Dopamine, good to see ya. Happy holidays to you as well, Code for Dopamine. Yeah, I hope everybody's kind of thinking about what they want to do with Hey, KP, good to see you. I hope everybody's kind of thinking about what they want to do with this next year. If part of that, you don't have to call it a New Year's resolution. Just, what's your plan? What are you thinking about you want to do? If you're thinking about learning to code, or getting better at coding, Please don't drop $10,000 on a boot camp. There's no need for that. There's plenty of free code, learn to code learning resources out there right here on the internet, that places that give away their knowledge for free. I'm affiliated with 100 Devs, obviously, which is a free community where you can learn to code and learn how to get a job in tech. And absolutely no cost associated with it. And today we're also we're also using a wonderful free resource. We have been for the past couple months now, called Python for Everyone, which is a 100% free course, no cost, where you can learn Python. The same person that built this course also put together a number of other free courses as well, where you can learn C, you can learn PHP, Python, all these sort of really fundamental languages, all for free. So however you learn how to code, just please don't spend money on it, because so many places out there are giving away this information for free. And so it behooves you to use them rather than dropping a bunch of your hard-earned money on these courses. Hey, Agravenia, good to see ya. Oh, you got sick, Palooza. That's so sad. I hope you feel better soon. Hey, Dopamine, taking 1 month off to buckle down on the job hunt. That's awesome. Good luck to you. Yeah. Yeah, the job market is difficult right now for tech and coding. I'm definitely not going to deny that. Um, yeah, I mean, I've been the finalist for a couple of positions and gotten rejected, at the last hurdle, right? You're down to two, and then, I'm the one that gets cut. And so, that's rough, but if you have the right preparation, and if that's really your goal, the best you can do for yourself is, to put yourself through that hard time of searching for a tech job. The best thing you can do is then also not spend a bunch of money in addition to that, right? Use the free resources that are out there, such as Python for Everyone, or 100 Devs, or Free Code Camp, or the Odin Project, right? Use those free resources that are at your disposal, just to take one stressful thing off your plate, right? Palooza says, my plan for next year is to finish my web dev course and hopefully get a job. That's awesome. Yeah. Palooza says, you hate React. Why do you hate React, Palooza? I'm genuinely curious. I really like React. Um, that's, I didn't start out in web dev. I've come into web dev from the data engineering space, so from the backend space, and React really opened things up a lot for me. I'm just curious why you dislike it. Sly Fox says, yeah, getting a job in tech right now is tough. Yeah, and I think it kind of illustrates that it really doesn't matter how many languages you know. And a common mistake that a lot of people make is, when they're trying to get a job in tech, is they're like, oh, well, I just need to learn more languages, right? I just need to know every possible language. I need to know every possible thing there is to know, and but in the end, it really comes down to more of, does the interviewer like you? Do they think you're going to be a good culture fit? Do you have connections at that company that you're interviewing for? What is your network like? And and that's harder, right? That's harder to quantify. You can't check that off. It's not a game you can win. Making connections is more nebulous and difficult. And so, yeah, I think that's a common mistake that a lot of people make, is they're like, oh, well, if I just, shut myself in my bedroom and learn C++, then I can get a job. And that's really not true. So often you're better served by going to networking events, or making connections on Twitter, or, talking to your cousin who knows somebody that works at Microsoft, right? And that's generally more likely to get you a foot in the door. Hey, Akram, good to see you. Hey, Crayon, good to see you again. Welcome back. Palooza says, Vanilla JS seems more logical and intuitive, but with React, the super simplification kind of gets me lost somehow. Well, if you want to explore React more, and I'm not saying you have to, if you want to maybe take a more fundamental look at React, kind of just starting. Oh, good, my alerts are working again. Deathwit, thank you so much for the follow. My alerts weren't working last time, so I disconnected and reconnected Streamlabs to Twitch, so I'm glad that's working now. But yeah, so if Palooza, if you maybe want to take a more fundamental look at React, I do have like a 7-part React series on my YouTube channel, where we just go through the docs from start to finish, and we do all the exercises, and we really talk through everything. And that's really got what got me to liking React. I'm not saying that's going to work for you, and I'm not saying that that's something that, you have the time or energy to spend watching, but it might be helpful for you. And I have a playlist for it on my YouTube channel. So the React videos are right there. You can go to my YouTube channel, go to the playlist tab. The React playlist is there, and you might check it out just to see if maybe that helps with your understanding of it. Not saying it will, but you could give it a try. Hey, Instinct, good to see you. KP says, goal is to move along 100 devs enough that I can start building things and apply for a job. Also switching my meetup focus from social to more networking. Sure, yeah. So KP, and I will say this, there's no real threshold point where suddenly you're ready to start building things. You can start building things right now. I know you're far enough along to start building things. You could be building static sites right now. You can build HTML. As long as you know a little bit of HTML, you can build a website. And most hosting platforms like Netlify or GitHub Pages or whatever make it so easy to start hosting that you could host your site right now. My personal website is mostly HTML. So you don't need to know full stack in order to start building websites. You can start right now, HTML, CSS. You can use templates. There's nothing wrong with using templates. Heck, even using something like WordPress, there's nothing wrong with that either. So if you want to try to get your portfolio off the ground, you can start doing that now. There's no threshold that you have to wait for. Yeah, of course, Palooza. Yeah, no rush on that. Just letting you know. Yep. Jump in. Good to see you again. You had to get another job and haven't written a line of code in months. Oh no. Hey, that's all right. In the end, you got to do what you got to do, right? And there's no there's no straight path to this on this journey, right? There's no you have to do A, B, and C in this order so often, and that equals job. That's not how this works. Sometimes you got to step away. You got to make that money. You got to feed your family. You got to feed yourself, and that's what you got to do, and that's fine. Yeah, Dopamine says if you see most professors' websites, they're all bare bones HTML as they got no time to figure out the CSS. I honestly love those websites. That's why I built my website with mostly HTML. Just that plain, like, well formatted, clean HTML without all the extra crap, big splash images that take forever to load, bunch of GIFs everywhere, pop out menus. I hate that. So I dig those simple professor university websites. I legit love them. And Crayon says, can confirm you can make a 90s style website plastered with moving GIFs for just a little bit of HTML. Yeah, absolutely. Those sites are clean, they load fast, and they're accessible. So, I mean, to me, those are the best websites. Hey, Kalares, good to see you. KP says, I feel bad using templates to build websites because it seems like I'm not using HTML and CSS as I learn. I mean, as you're learning CSS, great, yeah, you should be using it. But once you know the basics of CSS, just use templates. It's faster. I mean, and Leon will say the same thing as you're going through the course. There's no shame in using templates. You can use CSS to modify them, to make them personalized to you or your clients. That's what you should be doing. But there's no need to build everything from scratch. Not at all. Yeah, dopamine. Hey, if you can find a niche, right? Leon working with dentists. I think HVAC companies, heating, cooling, air conditioning companies, they desperately need websites most of the time. Hair salons need websites. My friend Marcia, she found a niche making websites for Amish people. And I'm not joking about that, literally Amish people. Because they can't make their own websites, obviously, but a lot of them have really successful businesses and they need an online presence. Amish and Mennonites often have super successful businesses in woodworking, in food, in sort of those hands-on sort of trades. They're very good at that, but they don't have websites. And so she makes websites for them. Crayon says maybe we should bring back MySpace for learning web dev. I mean, yeah, a nice, friendly, low stakes place where you can learn HTML and CSS. I dig that. Yeah. When the web was simpler. Hey, Mattel, good to see you. Work smarter, not harder. I mean, honestly, yeah. If you can find a tool, once you know the basics, if you can find a tool that helps, leverage your existing skills to be more efficient, something like ChatGPT, then sure. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we have this mistaken, like, belief that we aren't authentic unless we're building everything with our own hands, and especially in tech and development, like that's really not true. We're always standing on the shoulders of giants, right? Any language you're using, JavaScript, Python, anything, we're basically just using somebody else's work already, the people who built the language. So we should feel no shame in using templates or frameworks or whatever. It's fine. Yeah, exactly, Crayon. I stole your code. It wasn't my code to begin with. Yep, it never is, really. And a lot of the times, especially if you're working with a company, um, especially if you're working with a company, they're not going to want you to write your own stuff. They're going to want you to use their processes, their standards. Obviously you're going to be writing code here and, you're going to be writing code here and there to build new stuff. But for existing stuff, they're going to be like, okay, follow this standard. You can look at this for a reference. Like, just take this and modify it so it follows the existing standards and processes. I mean, at least that's been my experience. It's more of like, yeah, just look at this. We've done this before. Look at that for a reference and modify it to do this, right? Because they don't want you to build something from scratch because it's not going to be, standardized. Ghibli says, no way, I'm going to build my own auth package. We actually did that once on stream. I did that on stream just to show the difference between like building your own auth and, with, tokens and all that stuff, building your own auth versus using just like the prepackaged auth packages that you can download. And it was so much harder to build your own authentication. It really sucks. Yeah, I mean, we did it once and I'm never doing it again. It was an experiment and it was not fun. So it's just an illustration of, hey, here's why you should just use other people's stuff if they're making it available to you. Yeah, no, it was not great. Alrighty, but I'm super excited about what we're going to be talking about today. I hope you are all as well. We're gonna kind of keep continuing our Python series here. If you haven't joined the past streams, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We're just going to kind of jump in and you can follow along or just listen. A lot of people listen to my stream while they're making dinner or whatever. It's fine too. But I'm super excited about what we're going to be covering today because this is the real reason why I wanted to learn Python. And it is essentially how do we use Python to scrape web data? So my whole goal with learning Python here is, yes, to use Python to be better at my data engineering job, but also for a personal project I'm working on where we're going to need to scrape a ton of web data from a site that doesn't have an API. So this site has a ton of data on it and it doesn't have an API. And so we're going to have to essentially grab the raw HTML and we're going to have to scrape the data that we want and that we need out of this website. So this chapter here, network programming, this is where we're going to get into it and actually learn how to do that kind of thing. And I think this could be really useful for a lot of cases too. Just how do we get data out of websites, using Python rather than trying to do it manually. Python is the way to do this kind of thing. So that's what we're going to be covering today. As always, though, first thing we're going to be doing, Crayon says, I guess if you're going to be scraping, then learning about regex so early on makes much more sense. Yeah, the whole reason why we covered regex last week was because you can leverage it to do scraping, essentially. Oh my goodness, Instinct Dev, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you, thank you. I need to put a sound effect on this sub screen too, because my sub alerts don't work, so I made my own. I hope you like it. Complete with Comic Sans. Yes, it's very good. I need to put a sound effect on it though. I don't know what it should be, like confetti or something. Bezos bucks for the win. Nice. Hey, Shaxbeard, good to see ya. They say, hey, I caught up with the lessons all the way to tuples over the break. Loving the Python for Everyone content. I am too. Python for Everyone is great. Also, last time, a couple weeks ago in my last stream, Dr. Chuck himself, the creator of Python for Everyone, actually stopped into the stream for a little while. It was great to see him. He's a very nice guy. I talked to him a little bit on social media on Blue Sky. And yeah, he's a great dude. very generous with his time, very humble, and just an awesome person. So, yeah, I know Ghibli. It was great. He popped in just for a few minutes. He didn't have a lot of time, but yeah, it was great to talk to him, and he was really interested in what I was doing. And yeah, it was neat. I hope to maybe keep up correspondence with him a little bit about learning methods or teaching methods, just because he seems like a cool dude. Yeah, it was really neat. All right. Anyway, but as always, we are going to start our learning journey today by going over what we learned last time. So this might seem, like, oh, why do we got to do that? But the best way to learn is repetition and application. Those are the two kind of keywords that I live by when you're learning something new. Is if you just look at something once, even if you spend a lot of time on it, if you just look at it once and you never look at it again or never quiz yourself on it again, then you will not remember it. Your brain is going to say, oh, we only needed this once. We haven't used it since. I'm going to just jettison this stuff out the airlock. That's your brain is efficient in that way. Unfortunately, it doesn't want to waste energy maintaining those connections that you don't need. And so it's literally just going to go poof. Okay, you're gone. So we're going to review what we did last time, and we are going to wait. What is my phone doing? My phone just decided to randomly start. I didn't sit. Okay, I don't know. My phone just randomly decided to start thinking I was talking to Gemini or something. I don't know why, but yeah, I just switched on. Anyway, so the goal here is to use repetition and application to reinforce that information in our minds and to force our brain to put that information in long-term storage and say, hey, this is worth keeping. You need to remember this. Okay? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start out with a quiz on regular expressions, which is what we covered a couple weeks ago. And this has been a while, and I've done a lot since then. So I'm genuinely curious how much I actually remember. And if you didn't join us last time, that's perfectly fine. Feel free to, just make your best guess at the questions. Let's see what we think the answers are. And this is an open book quiz too. So you can look at the material. I can look at the material. This is not a high stress situation. This is not a, oh my goodness, I have to get the right answer situation. This is just, hey, how much do we remember? What do we need to look up again and reinforce a little bit? Okay. So the goal here is not a test. The goal here is how well did we learn? What do we remember? Okay, so quiz on regular expressions. All right, let's see what we got here. So what character do we add to the plus or the star to indicate that the match is to be done in a non-greedy manner? Is it G, question mark, plus plus, dollar sign, caret, or star star? What do we think? What character do we add to the plus or the star to indicate that the match is to be done in a non-greedy manner? Ice Fire says question mark. I'm not sure if you're saying I don't know or if you're contributing that as your answer. Crayon says I have no idea, but I'm going to guess question mark. Yeah, so we can maybe narrow this down a little bit. It's not going to be star star. I know that. Because in this case, the star or the wild card essentially means, match all, or this one means match one or more. Null Recall says B, question mark. Okay, we got folks saying question mark here, and I honestly don't remember. This is one of the ones that I don't remember. So let's take a quick look, and like I said, there's no harm in looking at the material if we don't remember. I was thinking it was dollar sign, but the consensus seems to be question mark. So let's check this information. So let me open a duplicate tab here. Is it done for now? So I've still got the quiz open over here. So let's go to the reference material. And we're going to go down. There was a cheat sheet at the end, which was really useful. So let's look at, it's down here somewhere. Here we go. Oh yeah, you're right. It is question mark. Okay. Dollar sign would have been my other guess. Yeah. So in this, okay, right. So dollar sign matches to the end of the line, but the star question mark or plus question mark, yes, turns on non-greedy mode. Yeah. Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, you were right. Thanks, chat. So in this case, it is question marked to turn on non-greedy mode. And then, as this part of the second question, I think we got the answer to this one. What will the dollar sign regular expression match? So essentially, this one is going to the end of the line. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so what would the following mean in a regular expression? So we've got a square bracket, lowercase a to z, and then the digits 0 to 9, and then a closing square bracket. So what does this do? Does it match anything but a lowercase letter or digit? B, does it match any number of lowercase letters followed by any number of digits? C, does it match an entire line as long as it's lowercase letters or digits? D, does it match a lowercase letter or a digit? Or E, match any text that is surrounded by square braces? Okay, so we got folks saying D here. So I think we can we can rule out E certainly, because the idea here is that the square braces are not literal. This is telling us the format of the text we're trying to match. So I think we can rule out E. So our potential answers are essentially A through D. We've got folks saying the fourth one. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think what we're trying to do here is match a single lowercase letter or a single digit that meets these criteria. Yeah. So I'm going to go with the fourth one as well. So, and we know it's not A either because this is not a not situation, right? This is not we don't have a false, thing here, a thing that's going to flip this to the opposite. So it's not going to be that. So our choices are essentially B, C, or D. And, I don't think it's going to be match an entire line because we would need additional symbols here to indicate that, to say, all right, go, as far as you can, and match any number of lowercase letters followed by any number of digits. No, because since it's enclosed in one set of square brackets here, it's essentially saying, hey, this is one type of thing you're trying to match. So it's going to be kind of hey, this whole format could be a potential match. So yeah, I agree with D here. Hey, mister, welcome to the chat. Good to have you here. I hope you like regular expressions because we're taking a quiz. What is the type of the return value of the find all method for regular expressions? Is it A, a list of strings? So it's essentially, what is this asking? It's saying, okay, what is the type of the return value? So we call this method, and what type of value does it return? Is it A, a list of strings, B, a Boolean, C, a single character, D, a string, or E, an integer? Mister says, no, WTF, not the black magic. Yeah, we actually did a whole stream on regular expressions a couple weeks ago, so that's why we're taking the quiz now to see what we remember. But the topic of today's stream is actually going to be web scraping, not regular expressions. So if regular expressions frighten or confuse you, that's okay. We're just taking the quiz first, and then we're going to go on to a new topic of web scraping with Beautiful Soup. Okay, so I think we can probably rule out an integer, and a single character and a Boolean. So I would say it's either a list of strings or a string. And given that it's find all, I believe a list of strings is probably the most logical answer here. Hey, Get Alpine, good to see you. Okay, next question. What is the wildcard character in a regular expression, i.e. the character that matches any character? What is the wildcard character in a regular expression? Is it A, the period, B, the caret, C, the question mark, D, the dollar sign, E, the star, or F, the plus? We got folks saying the period, A. Got folks saying the asterisk. Yeah, this one is a bit tricky, I think, because of the way it's phrased. So it's important to remember, I think, the purpose of each character. So let's take a quick look at our cheat sheet here, because some of these characters mean, hey, do something, and then some of them are modifiers in that they take the base symbol and they say, okay, here's how long or how far you're supposed to apply this criteria. So some of them are like base actions and some of them are modifiers. It's kind of like some of them are nouns and some of them are verbs in the sentence. So I think it's important to remember which of these are nouns and which of these are verbs. So let's take a quick look at the cheat sheet here. All right, so what does the period do? So the period matches any character. It serves as the wild card. So in that case, then, what does the asterisk do? It then says, so this is like the noun. This says, or I guess maybe it's more like the adjective, like the action word. Wait, no, hang on. I've got to remember my parts of sentences. All right, so the noun is like person, place, or thing. Verb is the action word. Okay, so verb is the do something. And then adjectives describe things. Okay, so this is kind of like an adjective then. So, hey, do this, match any character. And then the star applies to the immediately preceding characters and indicates to match 0 or more times. So this is kind of like, hey, do this. And then how often do we do it? How much do we do it? What does that look like? Well, match 0 or more times. So in this case, this is kind of the base, and then this is the modifier that says, hey, how often do we do it? So in the context of this question, the answer, I believe, would be the period. The asterisk says, okay, how often do we apply this action? Same with the plus sign. Same with the dollar sign, right? Plus sign is 0 or more. Asterisk is 0 or more. Plus sign is 1 or more. Dollar sign is to the end of the line. Question mark is non-greedy. Caret is not, I believe, right? Or no, beginning. Yeah. So essentially the only one that isn't a modifier, the only one that's an action and not a modifier is the period. That's why these cheat sheets are super useful, because it's a good reference for, okay, which ones are these are actual actions and which ones are modifiers to the preceding action. Like Mr. says, you dove into regular expressions a few weeks ago and you needed them. The next time you'll need them again. You're going to start from 0 again and again. Yeah, and that's kind of what I've done in the past, is just used a regex generator to generate the regex that I needed without really trying to learn it. And it has been useful to just learn the basics of it so that, next time I need it, I can kind of gauge, I can maybe build the basics of it and then use a generator to help me spice up what I have if I need to have more complex actions. It's still a good idea to, I think, understand the basics. So yeah, I think in this case, the answer is going to be the period. And then here, this kind of follows up on what we were just talking about. What is the difference between the plus and the asterisk character in regular expressions? The plus matches uppercase characters and the asterisk matches lowercase. The plus indicates the start of extraction and the star indicates the end. Plus matches at least one character and the star matches 0 or more. Plus matches the beginning of the line, asterisk matches the end, or plus matches the actual plus and star matches any character. Yeah, I think we can say pretty confidently that C is correct because of what we just talked about. These are modifiers that say, hey, look at the symbol before and apply that symbol to at least one character or more. And the star essentially means, hey, look at the previous symbol and apply that symbol to 0 or more characters. Dopamine says, I know a common fizz buzz for site reliability engineers is to use regex to quickly scan and change IPv4 addresses. Yeah. And regex can be really useful for that type of thing. I know it's super useful in, my field in data engineering, where you have to quickly scan and modify large amounts of strings, and especially really unpredictable strings. So strings that are nasty or filled with, random gibberish or certain kinds of symbols, or you have to do a ton of conversions all at once on millions of rows of data. That's where regex really comes into its own. All right, so based on what we've been talking about, what does what does bracket 0 through 9 plus match in a regular expression? Is it A, one or more digits, B, several digits followed by a plus sign, C, any mathematical expression, D, any number of digits at the beginning of a line, or E, 0 or more digits? What do we think? And by digits here, they're referring to like numbers. Yeah, we got folks saying A, maybe A or E. Any other guesses? Okay, Mattel's changed to A. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. One or more digits. So just like kind of what we were talking about. So this is the criteria we're matching on, which is 0 through 9, digits 0 through 9. And then the plus sign here is the modifier. The plus sign here is the modifier saying, okay, apply this to one or more matching digits. Yes, and as we talked about before, the star or the wild card is, or the asterisk, sorry, is 0 or more matches. Yeah. So I would agree with one or more here. So given what we've talked about, what does the following Python sequence print out? So we have X matching to the X equals the string from colon using the colon character. And that's in quotes, so it's a string. So from colon using the colon character. And then we're calling find all and saying, all right, not capital F dot plus colon comma X. Ooh, this one's a tough one. Okay, so let's look at this. So the caret, as we looked at before, the caret says, all right, match to the beginning of the line. So starting at the beginning of the line, we're looking for a capital F, and then the dot. So just like we looked at, it matches any character. So as long as it starts with a capital F at the beginning of the line, we'll match. And then one or more characters followed by a colon. So beginning of line, capital F, followed by any one or more characters, then a colon, and then with X meaning the default. Right, and the caret does mean exclude, but not in this context, right? So in this case, it's referring to beginning of the line. Yeah. So what do we think that's going to return? Will it return just a colon? Will it return just this literal string here, what was in the regex expression? Will it return from colon using the colon? Will it return just the word from, then a colon, or from in brackets? Yeah, we got folks saying C, so just the word from followed by a colon. Oh, sorry, you were saying C, my bad. I didn't, yeah. A, B, C. Okay, yes, this one here. Yeah, folks saying maybe C or E. Hey, Chabella, welcome to the stream. Good to have you here. Thanks for the encouragement. Yeah, so why do we think, so I agree. I think it could be either one of these, but I'm leaning towards C here. And the reason why is because we haven't specified that this search should be non-greedy. So in this case, I think we have the potential that it's going to just blow past the first colon and go all the way to the last one. So it's going to essentially be as greedy as possible and find everything that meets this criteria and say, all right, yes, I could stop here, but there's more characters and then a colon, and that's technically the last place I could stop. Yeah. So let's try it. let's actually run this. We've made our guesses, right? But let's actually run this and see what we get. So, oh, and I need to, there we go. So I've just imported regular expressions, so we can use those, and we'll declare our x here, and then we'll do our find, and let's see what we get. Yeah. So essentially what it's done is, because we didn't say it shouldn't be greedy, it just went ahead and it found all possible matches that fit this criteria and returned the entire string. Mattel says, so Python is greedy by default. Yeah, and so we have the ability to make it not greedy. So we can say, if we add this question mark here, we could say, okay, just match to the first string that you find that meets all the criteria, and then stop. Don't try to go any farther. Don't look at the rest of the string. We found what we need. But in this case, it's going to say, all right, but there's more I could match against. I'm going to return everything. And then it's going to return everything by default. Yeah, and that's a good point. So it's not necessarily that Python is greedy. It's that regular expressions are. Yeah. We can make them not be greedy, but their default is greedy. And I think there was something about that in, I think there was something about that in here. Hang on. Let's see. I thought there was something more descriptive about that in here somewhere. Mm. Yeah, and it may depend on the language that you're using regex in. That's a good point, Mattel. So yeah, and I've used regex in, like, with SQL and other languages too. And regex itself can basically be integrated in a lot of other languages. You can use it in JavaScript, you can use it in SQL, you can use it in Python, and it may have different behavior depending on where and when and where you're applying it. So that's a good point to make. And depending, if you're using it in another language, you might have to specify that it should be greedy. And so that's something to be aware of when you're applying regex in your language of choice. Is, okay, how is it going to behave when I use it? Yeah. Dopamine says, I think this is the missing piece for me, always forgetting about regex. So I need to use question mark more often to set it to non-greedy mode. Yeah, again, dopamine, it depends on what language you're applying it to. So in this case, Python is going to use it being greedy by default, and we need to make it not greedy with the symbols that we have in our cheat sheet there. Mattel says, I use it in the shell. Okay, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and submit this. Let's see how we did. And remember, if we got something wrong, that's okay. We'll have to wait 10 minutes before we can take the quiz again, but we will, and we'll take it as many times as we need to until we get everything right and make sure that we have processed the information. All right. Good job, chat. We did it. And again, remember that, in real life, you're allowed to use cheat sheets. In real life, you're allowed to have an open book. In real life, it's a skill. It's a good thing to know how to look up the information that you need to solve a problem. And so as long as you're then applying that information, you're repeating that information as many times as you need until you have it in your brain, then that's fine to use resources to get the right answer. So that's a big, learning, that's a big difference between something like school and real life, is that, in real life, it's a good thing to look up the answers and figure out, how do I solve this problem using the resources that I have. Yeah, and I would agree, Mattel. It's expected, right? It's expected that you know how to Google. And unfortunately, that's not something that school really teaches us. School teaches us that we need to memorize everything, and then we need to only retain that information as until it's on a test, and then we can forget it forever, right? Yeah. All right, good job, everybody. So, with that stellar progress, excuse me. With that stellar progress, let's go ahead and move on to our main topic for today, which is network programming. So, again, the main reason that I'm interested in this topic is less about, okay, how does HTTP work, but more about how do we use Python to scrape web data. So some of this information in this chapter might be review, especially if you're familiar with full stack development with JavaScript or other web development languages. Some of this might be review, but that's fine. It's good to review the basics and make sure that you understand everything. So the thing I'm excited for is using Beautiful Soup, learning how to use that to scrape web data from a website and sort of apply what we're learning here. But we'll get there. Let's head into the reference material. Oh, and as always, not everybody learns the same way, right? I learn by looking at, written documentation, talking it through, doing the exercises with you. If you learn better from like YouTube summaries or, narrated videos, all this written material also has these wonderful YouTube videos that are narrated by Dr. Chuck, the writer of this course, where he kind of talks through everything. He shows you slides with pictures on them and talks through each of these topics. So if that's how you prefer to learn, then please refer to these videos as well here. Okay. So let's talk about networked programs. So what we've done a lot so far is basically looking at flat files, right? Looking at text files, looking at CSVs, and parsing the data in those files. However, that's really not where we get most of our information, right? We get most of our information from the internet, from websites. And so we're going to be looking at how do we become a web browser and retrieve web pages using the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or HTTP. Then we're going to read through the web page data and parse it. All right, so what is HTTP? It's the little letters that appear before every single URL you've ever typed. But what does that actually mean? So the network protocol that powers the web is actually quite simple, and there is built-in support in Python called socket, which makes it very easy to make network connections and retrieve data over those sockets in a Python program. A socket is much like a file, except that a single socket provides a two-way connection between two programs. You can both read from and write to the same socket. If you write something to a socket, it is sent to the application at the other end of the socket. If you read from the socket, you're given the data which the other application has sent. So we've kind of explored this a little bit before, right? We did, excuse me, a few months ago, we did a project where I kind of built like a live chat application using WebSockets. And that was basically what we were doing, right? We were kind of creating these sockets, and we were sending and receiving chat data in real time. And so that was basically the practical application of what we're seeing here in a very sort of a very sort of real-time way, is using how do we use sockets to send chat messages back and forth. So what is a protocol? If you try to read a socket when the program on the other end of the socket has not sent any data, you just sit and you wait. If the program's on both ends of the socket, oh, thank you so much for the follow, Stroud. Good to have you here. If the program's on both ends of the socket simply wait for some data without sending anything, they will wait for a very long time. So an important part of programs that communicate over the internet is to have some sort of protocol. And a protocol is a set of rules that determine who is to go first, what they are to do, and then what the responses are to that message, who sends next, and so on. In a sense, the two applications